The sky above New York burned with fire and ash. Orbital bombardments tore through the city's crumbling skyscrapers, turning once proud towers into skeletons of steel and glass. Below, the streets ran thick with panic and desperation. But humanity had learned to fight even when all seemed lost. Lieutenant Mira Tanaka crouched behind the shattered remains of a transport hovercar, her pulse pounding in time with the distant thunder of plasma cannons. Around her, the last pockets of the United Earth Defense Forces scrambled to hold positions against the Galactic Compact's relentless assault. Their armor was battered, their ammo running low, but their eyes burned with stubborn defiance. "Hold the line." Her captain's voice crackled through the comm, barely audible over the cacophony of explosions and dying engines. "Command says the Invictus will arrive any minute. Stand fast." Mira swallowed her fear and nodded to herself. The Invictus, a name whispered like a prayer in bunkers and command centers, was Earth's final hope. Officially, the ship was a myth, a ghost story to bolster morale. Secretly, it was a black-budget project buried beneath Antarctica's glaciers, crafted from the most advanced science humanity had dared to attempt. A ship said to defy the laws of reality, if it was real. Above the chaos, compact fighter squadrons swooped through the skies, hunting any resistance with cold precision. Their ships were faster, more maneuverable, and heavily armed. Yet even as they closed in, strange quantum distortions rippled through the battlefield. Flickers of light, sudden glitches in targeting systems. Pilots reported instruments going haywire, weapons locking up without cause. The compact commanders cursed, suspecting interference but unable to pinpoint the source. In the command bunker beneath Manhattan's ruins, General Ibrahim Khalid stared at the holoscreen displaying the orbital assault. His jaw tightened as the view zoomed in on the invaders' flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons and shield generators. The flagship's weapons fired relentlessly, tearing through Earth's orbital defenses like paper. "Sir," a voice interrupted. Lieutenant Arya Singh stood at attention, face pale but resolute. "We're picking up a spatial anomaly over the Pacific. It's unusual. Quantum readings off the charts." Khalid's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The holoscreen shifted. A shimmering tear appeared in space, rippling and folding like a disturbed pond. Then, with no warning, the anomaly twisted and solidified into the unmistakable silhouette of a battleship, sleek, angular, and gleaming with a strange iridescence. "Impossible," Khalid muttered. From the bow of the newly appeared vessel, an eerie silence radiated. No weapon systems flared, no communication signals broadcast, yet the presence was undeniable, a singularity of power and certainty. "Is that the Invictus?" Arya whispered, disbelief in her voice. "Confirmed," Khalid said grimly. "Initiate contact, now." On board the Invictus, Admiral Grant Varga stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the endless void with calm intensity. Beside him, Dr. Lena Okoye reviewed the quantum sensor's readouts, complex fluctuations in space-time, perfectly synchronized and stabilized. "It's working," Lena said quietly. "The quantum lock held through the jump. The fleet won't know what hit them." Varga nodded. "The compact fleet's weapons can't target us. Their sensors are useless against a ship existing in multiple states at once. We are a ghost, and a hammer." Back on Earth, the compact commanders' faces turned pale as their targeting systems failed one after another. Weapons locked up mid-firing sequences. Ships wavered and flickered, moments of visible existence punctuated by sudden vanishing. "Status. Report," barked the compact High Marshal. His voice cracked with panic as he slammed his fist on the control console. "Several cruisers dematerialized, sir. We can't lock onto the Invictus. It's like it's everywhere and nowhere at once." "Hold. Formation, don't give in to fear," he ordered, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. In the streets below, soldiers and civilians alike stared up at the sky as the tide suddenly shifted. The relentless bombardment slowed. Compact fighters retreated in confusion. For the first time in weeks, a spark of hope flickered in the hearts of the desperate defenders. Mira lowered her rifle, eyes wide as the alien fleet wavered. Her captain grinned grimly and shouted, "It's here, the Invictus. We're not finished yet." In the bunker, General Khalid allowed himself a brief, exhausted smile. Humanity just showed them it's not over. Not yet. The Invictus shimmered, like a phantom against the stars, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen that no compact sensor could fully capture. Inside the ship's bridge, the crew moved with quiet precision, still grappling with the disorienting reality of their sudden return. Admiral Grant Varga stood at the helm, his hands steady on the rail despite the storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. 5 years ago, the Invictus vanished during its maiden quantum jump, swallowed by a rift in spacetime, presumed lost forever. Yet here they were, alive and unaged, as if the years had passed only in another dimension. Dr. Lena Okoye hovered over the quantum interface console, eyes sharp despite the fatigue that lingered beneath her calm exterior. The jump wasn't just a blink. It was a full quantum lock. The ship is now anchored in multiple realities simultaneously. We exist in superposition until observed. It's the only way to explain our disappearance and our sudden reappearance. Varga nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. We're not just back. We've become a weapon that defies physics itself. Around them, the rest of the crew absorbed the implications with a mix of awe and dread. Communications Officer Sergeant Malik Jensen adjusted frequencies trying to reach the compact fleet still lingering in orbit. All channels are dead or scrambled. They can't even detect us properly. It's like we're a ghost to them. Good, Varga said grimly, because ghosts don't get shot. The ship's AI flickered to life with a soft hum. Admiral, external scans indicate compact fleet activity is in disarray. Their command structure is destabilizing. You may want to address the fleet's leaders. Varga took a deep breath. Send a broadcast on all frequencies. Not a threat, but a message. Moments later, the Invictus's voice echoed across space, carried on layered quantum transmissions that bent perception. It was not aggressive, calm, authoritative, unmistakably human. This is Admiral Grant Varga of Earth's Invictus. We come not to beg for peace, but to demand it. Stand down your weapons and withdraw your forces. Resistance is now futile. The compact's flagship bridge was a whirlwind of confusion and disbelief. High Marshal Arik Vael stared at the flickering readouts, his weapon systems failing, ships dropping out of formation, crews unable to target the Invictus. The broadcast repeated endlessly, a calm voice cutting through the chaos like a scalpel. "What is this witchcraft?" one officer whispered. Vael clenched his fists. "We have a ship that shouldn't exist, and it's telling us to surrender, prepare countermeasures, scramble the fleet." But no countermeasure could reach the Invictus. As the quantum-locked ship extended its shadow, compact vessels began to flicker in and out of existence, some blinking out entirely, their molecules unraveling under paradoxical pressure. Tew. A smaller fighter, pilot Renee Tell, watched in horror as the squadron beside her simply vanished, one by one, like candles snuffed out. "Control! What the hell is happening?" she shouted into the comm. "Unknown," came the panicked reply. "We're losing ships at an alarming rate. Fall back." But the retreat was disorderly and fractured. Communications dropped, and commanders struggled to maintain any semblance of control. Back on the Invictus, Varga and Okoye exchanged a look. "They don't understand what they're facing," Lena said quietly. "This isn't just a ship. It's a quantum paradox. Their technology collapses under it." Varga clenched his jaw. "We didn't build it to win by firepower. We built it to be impossible to fight." The Invictus slipped through the compact fleet, an uncatchable specter. Varga ordered the crew to focus on stabilizing the ship's quantum field. The more stable it remained, the more disoriented their enemies would be. Below, on Earth, General Khalid received the news with disbelief. The impossible had happened. The Invictus was real. It was here, and it was rewriting the rules of war. "Khalid to all units," he ordered. "Hold your positions. The tide has turned." On the bridge of the Invictus, Varga allowed himself a rare smile. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for humanity's place in the stars. Lena nodded. But the compact won't give up easily. They'll adapt. We need to be ready. Varga's eyes darkened. Then we show them there are things they can't adapt to. We become their impossible problem. As the Invictus pulsed, with quantum energy, a ripple spread through the galactic war zone. The compact forces faltered, their legendary dominance shattered by a weapon not of brute strength, but of unfathomable mystery. And humanity, once written off as a minor species, had become the galactic unknown. The compact fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable might, now shuddered under an invisible siege. From their bridge aboard the flagship Dauntless, High Marshal Arik Viel watched in disbelief as targeting systems flickered, shield arrays wavered, and entire squadrons blinked out of existence as if swallowed by the void itself. His voice was tight with frustration, but his eyes betrayed a growing fear. Status report. How many ships have we lost to this anomaly? Lieutenant Drell's voice cracked. At least 7 cruisers and 10 fighters. Vanished. No debris, no distress signals. It's as if they never existed. Viel slammed his fist on the console. This is no natural phenomenon. Deploy countermeasures. Jam their communications. Do something. But the compact systems were unraveling. The Invictus was no ordinary warship. It was a quantum enigma, a paradox engine wrapped in steel and plasma. Across the battlefield, the Invictus seemed to phase in and out of reality, its outline shimmering like a heat haze. Its hull gleamed with colors that defied the compact's sensors, hues that seemed to bend light and warp space around it. Inside the Invictus, Admiral Varga stood over the command console, eyes fixed on the tactical display. The quantum lock field hummed steadily, synchronized to the ship's engines and weapon systems. It was this field that disrupted the enemy, a bubble of reality itself, rewritten. Weapons offline, announced Lieutenant Chen, the weapons officer, with a puzzled glance. Good, Varga replied, because we don't need weapons to win this fight. We are the weapon. Dr. Lena Okoye leaned over the console, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. The field creates a quantum superposition around us. To their sensors, we are simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Targeting algorithms fail because they're trying to lock onto a particle that's not fixed in any single state. Translation: we're untouchable. Exactly, Lena said with a small smile. And more than that, we're unraveling their systems just by existing. In the cockpit of a compact interceptor, pilot Renee Tell fought to maintain control as her instruments glitched wildly. Command: my targeting computer's gone haywire, she reported, her voice trembling. Weapons won't fire. I can't. Lock onto the Invictus. Pull back to formation, the command voice ordered. But it was too late. Rin's squadron suddenly flickered, their ships blurring and disappearing one by one in sickening flashes of light. Rin barely escaped the phenomenon, hurtling away in blind panic. Around her, the battlefield was dissolving into chaos. Ships materialized and dematerialized unpredictably, leaving crews disoriented and terrified. Back on the Dauntless, Viel's patience snapped. Prepare the quantum disruptor, he barked. If their ship exists in multiple states, we'll collapse it into one. We'll force it to pick a reality and burn it down. The disruptor charged, a swirling mass of exotic particles rippling in a containment field. But as the weapon fired, it collided with the Invictus's quantum bubble. The resulting explosion wasn't a blast, but a ripple, a distortion in the very fabric of space-time. The disruptor overloaded, frying the Dauntless's systems. Alarms blared as the dreadnought staggered, crippled and confused. Bale's face went pale. Impossible. That weapon should have been unstoppable. In orbit around Earth, General Ibrahim Khalid watched the compact's flagship falter on the holodisplay. Signal from the Invictus, his aide announced. Khalid leaned forward as Varga's voice filled the room. Calm, unwavering, filled with quiet authority. High Marshal Viel, this is Admiral Grant Varga of the Invictus. You have suffered losses not through brute force but through the limits of your understanding. Cease your attack. Stand down your fleet. We offer you peace. The room fell silent. No one dared speak over the transmission's weight. Can we trust them? One officer asked quietly. Khalid shook his head. Trust is a luxury we don't have, but resistance is suicide. On the Invictus, Varga turned to his crew. Prepare for the next phase. We'll hold the quantum lock. The compact will surrender or collapse under the paradox. Lena smiled grimly. They think in linear terms, cause and effect, action and reaction. We're something else entirely. We're the glitch in their code. The ship pulsed with quiet power, a paradox engine humming in the void, and the galaxy held its breath. The compact flagship's bridge was a maelstrom of panic and disbelief. Systems that had been flawless for centuries failed one by one, their most fearsome weaponry rendered useless, communications jammed by an unseen force, ships disappearing mid-battle, like ghosts snatched from reality. High Marshal Arik Viel's knuckles whitened as he gripped the console. The Invictus's broadcast played again on the main screen. Calm, cold, unwavering. Stand down your weapons and withdraw your forces. Resistance is futile. His officers exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of those words sinking in. Viel slammed, a fist against the console. How can we surrender to a ghost? A weapon we cannot even touch? Lieutenant Drell swallowed hard. Our fleets are crippled, sir. Our orders have no effect. If we continue, we will lose everything. The bridge trembled under the shock of a nearby explosion. A cruiser blinked out of existence, swallowed by the Invictus's quantum lockdown. The reality around them seemed to twist and unravel. Vale's breath came fast. Send the fleet to direct order. Cease fire and retreat. We will regroup. We will find a way to fight. But even as he spoke, a tremor of doubt rippled through the compact ranks. In the command bunker beneath Earth's ruined surface, General Ibrahim Khalid watched the compact flagship's distress unfold on the holoscreen. They're breaking, he said quietly. Lieutenant Arya Singh nodded. Our message reached them. Their command is fracturing under pressure. Outside the bunker, soldiers and civilians alike paused, eyes lifted to the skies as the bombardment slowed to a halt. For weeks, the Galactic Compact had ruled the heavens above Earth with iron certainty. Now, for the first time, silence reigned. On the front lines, Lieutenant Mira Tanaka lowered her rifle and exhaled slowly. Around her, soldiers whispered rumors of the Invictus's appearance, a ship that defied the laws of physics, wielding a power beyond comprehension. This is our chance, Mira thought, to show them that humanity will not be broken. Aboard the Invictus, Admiral Varga studied the tactical display. The compact fleet was in chaos. Their ships flickered like dying stars, systems failing under the quantum lockdown's pressure. Doctor. Lena Okoye approached, her eyes bright with cautious hope. They're surrendering, Grant. Varga's jaw tightened. Good. But the compact won't admit defeat easily. Their pride runs deep. We must hold the pressure. Lena nodded. The paradox engine is stable. The more they resist, the more their reality fractures. Then we don't give them the chance. Varga raised his voice over the ship-wide comm. This is Admiral Grant Varga. You face a new reality. Surrender now, and your people will live. Resist, and you will be erased. Not by force, but by the laws of existence themselves. The choice is yours. The message echoed through the void, a voice of defiance and certainty. Back on the compact flagship, a secret meeting unfolded behind closed doors. Viel faced his highest-ranking officers and advisors, their faces grim. Marshal, one officer began, our forces cannot withstand this quantum lockdown. Our commanders are losing control. The fleets fracture and disappear. Viel's eyes burned with stubborn pride. We will find a way to fight, we always do. Another officer shook his head. With respect, sir, the Invictus is not just a ship. It is a weapon beyond our comprehension. Our best scientists call it a paradox engine. It breaks our systems. Without a shot fired, Vile clenched his fists. Then we must outthink it. A younger officer stepped forward hesitantly. Sir, there are rumors of a secret technology on Earth. Something old, buried deep beneath the ice. The Invictus itself is a mystery. Vile's eyes narrowed. Then we must uncover that mystery. Prepare a covert strike team. I want to know how humanity built this ghost. On Earth, beneath the shattered cities and burning skies, humanity prepared for the next phase. The Invictus had shifted the balance, but victory was not yet assured. General Khalid addressed his troops. This is our moment. We stand not just for Earth, but for every world under threat. The Compact's reign ends today. Mira tightened her grip on her rifle. Around her, soldiers stood taller, inspired by the quiet courage radiating from their leaders. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, but now, humanity was rewriting the rules. Back on the Invictus, Varga and Lena stood side by side, watching the Compact's fleet falter. We've become the impossible problem, Varga said quietly. Lena smiled. And that's exactly what the galaxy needs. As the Invictus pulsed with quantum energy, its message was clear. Resistance was not just futile, it was obsolete, and the war had only just begun. Beneath Antarctica's frozen surface, buried deep in ice and secrecy, the remnants of a forgotten era slept. The Invictus was more than a ship. It was a symbol, a weapon, and a key to an ancient mystery that might decide the fate of humanity. The subterranean complex known as Echo Station, Lieutenant Mira Tanaka and her small strike team navigated narrow corridors lit by flickering emergency lights. The air was cold, sterile, and heavy with the scent of old machinery and hope. Echo Station had once been humanity's greatest secret, a research hub where scientists had attempted to unlock the very fabric of reality. Keep your eyes open, Mira whispered, the weight of the mission pressing on her shoulders. The Compact won't give up easily. Her team nodded, their faces grim but determined. The Compact had dispatched covert operatives here before, but none had returned. Ahead, a reinforced door barred their way. The access panel flickered, then accepted the override code. As it hissed open, Mira's comm crackled. General Khalid to Echo Team, any progress? Mira replied, voice low. We've entered the main vault. Initiating scan. Inside, rows of consoles and dormant quantum devices stretched as far as the eye could see. At the center stood an enormous spherical core, pulsing faintly with dormant energy. Dr. Lena Okoye's voice came through the comm. That's the quantum nucleus, the heart of the Invictus's power. If we can reactivate it fully, we might amplify the ship's paradox field, make it even more untouchable. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flooded the corridors. Contact! A squad member shouted. Compact shadow operatives, sleek and deadly, surged through side tunnels, weapons raised. Engage! Mira commanded, drawing her rifle. The narrow corridors echoed with gunfire, the harsh staccato of a desperate fight beneath the ice. Mira ducked behind a console, firing precise bursts. One attacker went down, but more kept coming. We can't hold them off long, her second in command said, voice strained. Then we finish the scan fast. Lena's voice cut in, urgent. Mira, I'm running remote diagnostics on the nucleus. If you can hold them, I can initiate a partial power-up. The strike team fought desperately as Mira focused on the task at hand. Seconds stretched like hours. Then, with a hum that vibrated through the very walls, the quantum nucleus began to glow, a deep iridescent light spreading through the station. The Compact operatives faltered, their weapons glitching, movements jerky and uncertain. It's working, Lena exclaimed. The quantum field's expanding beyond the Invictus. It's affecting their technology even here. Mira pushed forward, rallying her team. We've got one chance. Clear the way, then fall back to extraction. The battle grew chaotic. Echo Station trembled as systems overloaded under the sudden surge of quantum energy. Compact operatives, disoriented and losing control of their tech, began to retreat. Extraction. Point secure, came a voice from the comm. Mira led her team through twisting corridors, the glow of the nucleus lighting their path. Behind them, The echoes of the fight faded into silence. At the surface, the cold Antarctic night was pierced by the arrival of extraction shuttles. Mira's team boarded swiftly, breathless but victorious. As the shuttle lifted, Mira glanced back, toward the glowing vault beneath the ice. Humanity had uncovered a secret weapon far beyond conventional warfare, a quantum paradox weapon that could shatter the compact's technological dominance. But this was only the beginning. On board the Invictus, Admiral Varga received the report with a nod. Echo Station is secure and operational. Partial power-up achieved, Lena confirmed. We can now extend our quantum lockdown field across the planet and into orbit. The compact's forces won't have a safe haven anywhere. Varga's eyes burned with resolve. Good. It's time to make our next move. The compact thinks they can adapt or retreat. They underestimate humanity's will to survive. Across the galaxy, Compact High Marshal Vael brooded over the latest setbacks. His covert operatives had failed. Their most advanced technology was unraveling under the Invictus's paradox field. A new plan was forming, one desperate and dangerous. To strike directly at the source, the Invictus itself. Back on Earth, the world held its breath. The Invictus was no longer just a myth or legend. It was a beacon of hope, a shield against annihilation, and a weapon that defied the laws of the universe. And as the quantum field expanded, so did humanity's defiance. The war for Earth was far from over. But for the first time in a long time, victory no longer seemed impossible. High Marshal Arik Vael's fingers tapped relentlessly on the console of the crippled Dauntless, the compact flagship now a shadow of its former glory. The Invictus's quantum lockdown had shattered the compact's control, but Vael was no leader to concede defeat. No more retreats, he declared, voice low and fierce. We will strike at the heart of this ghost. The Invictus must be destroyed, or captured. His advisors exchanged uneasy glances. The Invictus was more than a ship. It was a riddle wrapped in a paradox, and every attempt to engage it had ended in disaster. We have one advantage, Vael said, eyes burning with determination. We know their weakness, the human element. We must exploit it. On board the Invictus, Admiral Grant Varga sensed the looming threat. The quantum lockdown was stable, and Earth's defenses were rallying, but the compact was gathering for a decisive counterattack. Prepare the fleet, Varga ordered. We will not wait for them to come to us. We take the fight to their doorstep. Doctor, Lena Okoye studied the quantum interface, her fingers flying over controls. Our paradox field can expand to cover a larger area, but it strains the core. We need to manage energy carefully. Varga nodded. We don't have the luxury of time. They're planning something. Deep within the compact's intelligence networks, a shadow operation unfolded. A covert strike team led by Commander Kale Varine prepared for infiltration. Varine was a seasoned veteran, ruthless and cunning. His mission was clear: board the Invictus, disable its paradox core, and retrieve any data that could turn the tide. As his stealth ship approached Earth, Orbit Varen's thoughts were sharp. The Invictus is a ghost, but every ghost has a body. We find it and we kill it. His team, clad in adaptive stealth suits, synchronized their neural interfaces. Silence was their ally. Back on Earth, General Ibrahim Khalid coordinated planetary defenses. The compact's fleet had been pushed back, but Vael's desperation made the threat unpredictable. Khalid, we've detected unusual activity near the Invictus's quantum field, Lieutenant Arya Singh reported. Sensors indicate a stealth craft attempting to breach the perimeter. Khalid's gaze hardened. Deploy interceptors. We cannot let them reach the ship. The Invictus shimmered at the edge of the quantum lockdown, its crew tense but ready. Approaching. Stealth signature detected, Lieutenant Chen announced. They're coming in fast. Varga took a deep breath. All hands to battle stations, this is their gambit. Let's show them why humanity doesn't back down. Commander Varan's team breached the Invictus's outer hull with surgical precision. Inside, corridors twisted and shifted under the quantum field's influence, making navigation a challenge. "Stay close," Varen ordered. "The paradox core is ahead. We disable it, then extract." As they advanced, the ship seemed alive, its walls humming with energy, reality itself warping around them. Time and space bent unpredictably, testing their resolve. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Invictus's AI activated defense protocols. Hostiles detected. The AI intoned. Engaging countermeasures. Walls shifted, corridors reconfigured, and automated drones surged to intercept. Varen's team fought through the labyrinthine ship, relying on training and sheer determination. But the Invictus was a fortress of quantum uncertainty. Each step forward was a battle against physics itself. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Varga coordinated defenses. "Target their boarding team," he ordered. "Focus on disabling them without damaging the core." Lena Okoye monitored the paradox core's stability. If they tamper with the core improperly, it could trigger a catastrophic quantum collapse. Varga's jaw tightened. Then they won't get that chance. In the core chamber, Varen's team reached the glowing nucleus. Vareen moved to plant a disruptor device when a calm voice stopped him. "Commander Kale Vareen." Admiral Varga appeared from the shadows, unarmed but commanding. "You think you can destroy what you don't understand?" Varga asked quietly. Vareen hesitated, calculating his options. "This is the end for your ship. Surrender." Varga shook his head. "This is only the beginning." With a gesture, the core pulsed violently. The room shimmered, reality bending again. Varen's disruptor faltered, the device destabilizing under the paradox energy. "Impossible," Varen growled. Varga stepped forward. "You fight physics itself and you lose." Outside, Earth's defenders intercepted compact reinforcements. Skirmishes raged in orbit and atmosphere, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. On the Invictus, the paradox core stabilized once more, repelling the invaders. Varga's voice echoed across the ship. "This war is not just for survival, it's a war for the future, one we will win." The Invictus hummed with the power of the paradox core, its quantum lockdown field shimmering across Earth's orbit. The ship was both a beacon and a fortress, the heart of humanity's defiance. But within the core chamber, the battle between Admiral Varga and Commander Kyle Vareen reached a tense impasse. Vareen's disruptor device sparked, its systems overwhelmed by the paradox energy. He cursed, eyes darting for an escape or a last desperate strike. Varga's calm demeanor never faltered. "You came to destroy us, yet you don't understand what you face. The paradox core is not just a weapon, it is a balance. Destroy it, and the consequences will ripple beyond this ship, beyond this system." Varen's grip tightened on his weapon, but a flicker of doubt passed across his features. "What consequences?" Varga gestured to the core's glowing sphere. "A quantum collapse. It would unravel the fabric of space-time around us, not just here, but across the cluster. It could destroy entire star systems." Varen's mind raced. The Compact had fought wars before, but this was beyond anything. "Do you threaten me?" Varen spat. "No," Varga replied softly. "I offer you a choice." Back on the Dauntless, High Marshal Vale watched the situation unfold with mounting frustration. The stealth strike had failed, and now the Invictus was more dangerous than ever. "We must escalate," Vale said grimly. "Prepare the quantum disruptor fleet. If we cannot defeat the Invictus, we will sacrifice everything to stop it." His advisors flinched at the cost implied. Such a weapon could tear open the fabric of reality itself. On Earth, General Khalid monitored the escalating battle from the command bunker. The tension was palpable. Victory was within reach, but the cost was unknown. Lieutenant Arya Singh approached. "Sir, the Compact is preparing to deploy the disruptor fleet. If they fire, it could trigger a collapse." Khalid's face hardened. "Then we must prepare for the worst." Inside the Invictus, Varen lowered his weapon, eyes flickering between doubt and duty. "What choice?" he demanded. Varga's voice was steady. "Help us stabilize the paradox core. Join us in ending this war not through destruction, but through understanding. We can reshape the Compact's future, or collapse it into oblivion. Varen's jaw clenched. Loyalty warred with survival. Then the ship shuddered violently. Alarm screamed. Disruptor fleet inbound, Lena Okoye warned from the control room. They're preparing to fire. Varga's eyes narrowed. We have seconds. Varen made his decision. I'm in. Together they raced to the control panels. Varen's knowledge of compact technology combined with Varga and Lena's understanding of the paradox core. Synchronize the shields, Lena instructed. If we can absorb the disruptor's energy, we might reverse the collapse. Outside, the compact fleet charged their quantum disruptors, massive weapons designed to shatter reality itself. The first beam fired, colliding with the Invictus's expanded quantum shield. The ship trembled, the core pulsing wildly. Inside, the paradox field rippled, threatening to unravel. Varga, Varen, and Lena worked furiously, their hands moving in unison over the consoles. Divert power to the nucleus, Lena shouted. We can channel the disruptor energy into a controlled paradox burst. Varen's voice was steady. Recalibrating disruptor resonance, now! The Invictus surged with blinding light as it absorbed the attack. Then, with a thunderous pulse, it released a wave of paradox energy outward. Compact ships caught in the blast flickered violently, systems collapsing. Some blinked out of existence entirely. In the chaos, Vale's flagship was rocked by the blast. The Dauntless's hull cracked, systems failing. Vale stared at the dying displays. This isn't over, he vowed, but it's lost. On the Invictus, silence fell. The quantum lockdown stabilized. The paradox core hummed steadily, its power balanced by newfound allies. Varga turned to Varen. You chose wisely. Vareen nodded slowly. Perhaps there is hope for us all. Back on Earth, General Khalid addressed the world. The Compact's reign is broken. We stand united, not just as survivors, but as architects of a new future. Mira Tanaka looked up at the stars, feeling the weight of sacrifice and the dawn of something new. The war had been brutal, the stakes cosmic, but humanity had prevailed, not through destruction, but through the courage to choose a different path. The void around Earth had settled into an uneasy calm. The war that had shaken galaxies was over, but its echoes still vibrated through space and time. Aboard the Invictus, Admiral Grant Varga stood at the observation deck, gazing at the blue-green jewel below, a planet scarred but unbroken. The quantum nucleus pulsed softly, its power a reminder of the fragile balance they had preserved. Beside him, Commander Kale Vareen surveyed the scene, a man transformed by choice and circumstance. No longer an enemy, but an uneasy ally. We've won a reprieve, Varga said quietly. But the Compact is fractured. Their empire won't vanish overnight. Varen nodded. Their pride runs deep. Some will seek vengeance. Others will see the truth. The future is uncertain. On Earth, General Ibrahim Khalid addressed a massive crowd gathered in the rebuilt capital. The scars of war were visible, shattered buildings, burnt forests, but the spirit of humanity shone brighter than ever. We stand on the edge of a new era, Khalid declared, voice strong and clear. One forged through sacrifice, resilience, and unity. The Compact's shadow no longer darkens our skies. Lieutenant Mira Tanaka, now decorated for valor, watched from the sidelines, her eyes shining with hope and determination. The fight had been long and brutal, but humanity's will had proven stronger than any weapon. In the Galactic Compact's fractured council chambers, voices argued fiercely. High Marshal Arik Vile, humbled and defeated, faced his former advisors. Our empire has lost its grip, Vale admitted. But we cannot abandon our people to chaos. Some called for peace talks, others for renewed war. The Compact's future was at a crossroads. Back on the Invictus, Dr. Lena Okoye monitored the paradox core's readings. The core is stable, but still unpredictable, she said. Its power is a gift and a burden. We must learn to wield it wisely. Varga nodded. Humanity's future depends on understanding what we've unleashed. Across the stars, a new coalition began to form. Humans, defectors from the Compact, and other species once oppressed by the Empire. They met, not as conquerors, but as partners. Together, they would rebuild, explore, and protect the fragile peace. On a distant world, a silent observer watched the broadcasts of Earth's victory. A figure cloaked in shadow whispered to themselves, "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will never be the same." As night fell on Earth, Mira stood beneath the stars, feeling the weight of the journey behind and the promise ahead. She smiled softly. "We faced the impossible and survived. Now we build a future worthy of that sacrifice." The stars above twinkled like distant fires, eternal, watching, waiting. The war had ended, but humanity's story was just beginning.